At the end of the day, it all comes down to nutrition. 90% of your results is not going to be what you do in the gym. It is going to be through what you put into your body. The average 45-minute run is probably going to burn about 200, 250 calories. So if you are trying to outwork a bad diet and you're putting 3,000 calories in your face every single day, like, good luck.
Are you ready to become the dad you were meant to be? Good, because this is the Epic Dad Legacy Podcast, where imperfect actions are better than perfect ideas, promises kept are more important than promises made, and nothing happens unless you make it happen. My name is Drew, father of three, the founder of the Epic Dad Company. My mission is to help dads up their game and become the husbands, fathers, and men they're called to be. We need epic dads now more than ever. And it is your responsibility and obligation to become the best father you can be and show your kids what is possible. Listen in for weekly tips, strategies, and actions you can take to go from average dad to epic dad. Thanks for listening. Now let's start the episode.
What is up, my friends? Hey, welcome back to the Epic Dad Legacy Podcast. This is your host, Drew Campier, founder of the Epic Dad Company. Hey, thanks for checking out the podcast listen today. My mission with the show is to help you level up as a dad, become the husband, father, and man that you were called to be. Today, I want to go deep into nutrition. So a couple weeks ago, I laid out our Epic Dad 4-6-10 method, which is how dads can get fit. And the 6 inside of the 4-6-10 method is about nutrition, 6 days of clean eating. But what does that even mean? And how can we make sure that we are approaching nutrition in a sustainable and flexible way as a dad? And so that's what I want to go into today. It's all about nutrition. It's going to be a deep dive on nutrition. So I see so many dads doing this wrong, trying to have these crazy diets, right? Try to do keto, try to do fasting, a carnivore diet, all this stuff. And I'll be honest, all that stuff works, right? At the end of the day, it works, but it is a tool. In my opinion, what we do inside the Epic Dad Company using our methodology is a system. It is a sustainable, repeatable system that you can be flexible on and is actually going to move the needle. And what a lot of dads don't understand is really just a lack of knowledge around nutrition. They think they can go work out really hard. They can go for a 45-minute jog every day. And why am I not losing fat? At the end of the day, it all comes down to nutrition. 90% of your results is not going to be what you do in the gym. It is going to be through what you put into your body. The average 45-minute run is probably going to burn about 200, 250 calories. And on average, you're eating 2,000 calories, right? So if you are trying to outwork a bad diet and you're putting 3,000 calories in your face every single day, like, good luck, right? You're going to have to run a lot further than 45 minutes every single day to make sure you're in a calorie deficit. And so I want to go through the basics around nutrition today so that you guys can have a repeatable, sustainable, flexible process that you can come back to time and time again to make sure you can get the results that you want to. Okay, so let's start at the top. At the end of the day, it is a math equation, right? It is calories in and calories out at its baseline level. That is the law of thermodynamics. You cannot get around it. So if you are burning more calories than you take in, you are going to lose weight. That is a law of physics. But just as important as calories in and calories out is what type of calories are you putting in? And so that is what we like to do at the Epic Dad Company. And we like to track what we are actually putting into our body to fuel ourselves with the right fuel sources to make sure that we're not just in a calorie deficit, but we can have the right type of calorie deficit, if that makes sense. And so I'll go deep into that in just a second. So what we like to do is use a system called Macronutrients. So you probably heard of macros. Maybe you're an expert on macros. Maybe you have no idea what I'm talking about. But at the end of the day, macros is pretty simple. So macros are the 3 macronutrients that are going to make up all of our food and provide energy. So you have protein, you have carbs, carbohydrates, and you have fats. Now, protein, that's meant to build muscle, to repair muscle, right? So after a long workout, you're fueling your body back with protein so you can build that lean muscle mass. Carbohydrates, this is going to be a primary fuel source for workouts, for daily energy, for everything that you're doing throughout the day. Is we're going to be burning carbohydrates. What you probably heard are carbohydrates are the enemy. That is 100% not the case. And so I'll walk through why carbs are not the enemy, but that is a misnomer in the fitness industry, right? There are plenty of diets that have limited carbohydrates or 0 carbohydrates, and there's a lot of benefits to that. But there are a ton of benefits of using carbs as a fuel source, especially if you're getting after training. And then number 3 is fats. So fats is going to support your hormone function. It's going to support your brain health, support your ability to use it as a fuel source as well, as an alternative fuel source. And so those three macronutrients are going to make up calorie counts. And so it really just comes down to a math equation at the end of the day. It is protein. You're going to get 4 calories per gram. Carbohydrates is 4 calories per gram. And your fats are 9 calories per gram. And so what we can do is we can take that ratio and we can build out the optimum ratio to make sure we're getting to your ultimate goal. So the science behind macros, right? Again, it's the law of thermodynamics, is calories in, calories out. If we are in a calorie deficit and we are burning more than we're eating, then we are going to lose weight. But like I said before, is the average run burns somewhere between 200 to 250 calories. And the average donut that you're going to eat is probably 200 to 250 calories. And so when I look at where we can actually drive results, hey, I could go for a 45-minute run, or I could just not eat that donut, right? What is more difficult at the end of the day? And so that is why nutrition is going to make up 90% of your results, because we can really move the needle by dialing in nutrition while keeping the same fitness protocols. The calories in, calories out is going to give you your deficit and make sure that you're losing weight. But your macronutrient breakdown, the proteins, carbs, and fats, is going to determine the quality of your results. And so eating enough protein is going to preserve muscle. It's going to keep your metabolism high. The proper carb intake, again, is going to fuel your training, fuel your recovery. And healthy fats is going to ultimately be an alternative fuel source. It's also going to help support testosterone and overall health. So we want to have some fat in our diet. By tracking your macros, you are optimizing your body composition, and you're going to lose fat while keeping muscle. And so that is why we track macronutrients. You could, right? There's an argument to be made. It is the old, if it fits your macros or if it fits a calorie deficit. You could eat 1,800 calories of Oreos. And ultimately, you would lose weight at the end of the day if you were in a calorie deficit just eating Oreos. But your body's going to look like shit, man. You're going to be skinny fat. You're going to have dad bod, even though you're in a calorie deficit and losing weight. You're losing muscle mass. You're losing lean tissue. You're not losing fat. And by having the right macronutrient breakdown, you are ensuring that you are building, repairing, and keeping lean muscle mass while you are reducing the amount of body fat. So that is why we use macros. Now, again, I said that macros are going to make up your overall calorie count, right? Again, it is 4 calories per every gram of protein. It is 4 calories per every gram of carbohydrate, and it is 9 calories per every gram of fat. So you can see how that breakdown is going to make up your ideal or your overall calorie target. But how do we get to a calorie target? Like, where do you even start? And so what I like to use is a scientific back method, and it is called your BMR, which is your basal metabolic rate, and your TDEE, which is your total daily energy expenditure. Now, this is going to get pretty sciencey, a little bit of data behind you, but at the end of the day, it is very simple. It's just a math equation. It's BMR, basal metabolic rate. This is the amount of calories, the amount of energy that your body is going to burn just at baseline. If you are laying on the couch all day watching TV, don't do any exercise, you're still burning calories, right? You're burning calories when you sleep. Your body is going to burn calories. It's going to use energy just to get you throughout the day, right? To keep your organs going, to keep your blood pumping, to keep your lungs working. You are burning calories. And so that is your basal metabolic rate. Now, typically, this is going to be probably higher than you think, right? Your body needs energy to live. And so on average, it may be burn 1,500, 1,600, even 1,800, 2,000 calories, depending upon your lifestyle and your body size. So that's your baseline, right? If I didn't exercise at all, I'm still going to burn 1,800 calories. And if I eat below that, you're going to be in a deficit, right? But most of us are not sitting on the couch all day, right? We are going to work. We are getting a walk in. We're exercising with our kids. We're getting a workout in. And the second baseline I want you guys to remember, in addition to basal metabolic rate, is your TDEE. That is your total daily energy expenditure. That is going to be your BMR, your basal, your baseline, plus the calories that you are burning from expenditure, right, throughout the day. And so that is going to be, hey, how many calories did I burn just going to the office? How many calories did I burn getting a workout in, et cetera? And so that's going to add on to your BMR. And so let's just take the example and say your BMR is 1,600 calories. And then you live a pretty active lifestyle. You're going to be burning calories. You're not just sitting on the couch. And so maybe your TDEE ends up being around 2,500 calories. And so that is on average the calories that you are burning. And so our approach, what I like to teach our clients on, is we're going to shoot for a deficit, a healthy deficit from our TDEE, from our total daily energy expenditure of about 10 to 25%, depending upon how aggressive we want to be. So I'm not great at numbers. Let me pull this up real quick. It is what? So we said what? 2,500 is going to be our TDEE. So let's say we want a healthy deficit of that. So we're going to do about 80% of our TDEE, right? A 20% deficit. So that's going to be 2,500 times 0.8. So that would give us a target calorie intake per day of 2,000 calories. And that means that, hey, if we're on an average day, we get our workout in, we go to the office, we're not just sitting on the couch eating Oreos and watching Netflix. Like if we eat 2,000 calories a day, that means that we're going to be in a 500 calorie deficit per day. That is a healthy, fairly aggressive, to be honest with you, deficit. And so that is how you want to determine what your calorie target is going to be. And guys, there are so many tools out there, right? Like you can go online, you can look it up. You can go to so many different calculators, et cetera. It's going to ask you a little bit about your body composition, about how active you are, and it's going to give you an estimate. It's not 100% accurate, but a fairly accurate estimate of what your BMR is and what your TDEE is. So once you do that, you have your TDEE, your calorie target is going to be, if you're trying to lose weight, right? This is all dependent upon your goal, but let's say you're trying to lose weight. Your calorie target is going to be somewhere between 10 and 20% deficit of your TDEE. And that is what you use as your calorie target. And now that we have a calorie target, we can break those out into our macronutrients. Hey guys, interrupting the show for 1 minute to ask you a question. If the future you 40 years from now looked at you right now, looked at the way you're showing up, looked at the energy you're bringing to your family, looked at the way you are leading, looked at your physical shape, looked at the habits, routines, and disciplines you have, looked at your vices, would he be proud? Or would he be shaking you violently, trying to get you to wake up and take control of your life? If you feel stuck in a rut, can't get motivated, I understand. I've been there. That is why I created the Epic Dad Fit program. Our goal inside the Fit program is to radically change your life as a father in just 90 days by helping you develop an unshakable foundation of discipline and habits, get you into the best shape of your life, and provide massive community and accountability to ensure you are successful. If you're ready to radically change your life as a father in just 90 days, hit the link in the show notes and apply today. All right, back to the show. It's the best split that I have found when we think about macros, like how much protein do I need to have, how many carbs, how many fats, et cetera. The best split that I have found is you want to take your ideal body weight, not what you are right now, but what your ideal body weight is. And so for example, let's just say you're 250, your ideal body weight is 180, right? And so you want to take 1 gram of protein per your ideal body weight, not your total body weight where you're sitting at currently, but your ideal body weight. And so that means that if I want to get to 180, my protein target for the day needs to be 1 gram per ideal body weight, which is 180. So 180 grams of protein per day. Pretty easy. And so I think where a lot of us hear this term one gram per pound of body weight, it sounds great. But if I'm sitting at 250, I want to get down to 180. I don't need to have 250 grams of protein, right? If I'm trying to lose weight, if I'm trying to lose fat, I don't need to have 250 grams. One, that is a lot of protein, right? You can do it. It's definitely doable. I've done it plenty of times when I'm going through a bulk and I'm trying to put on lean muscle mass, but you don't need to, right? We're gonna shoot for 1 gram per pound of body weight of your ideal body weight. In the example we're giving, it's going to be 180 because I want to weigh 180 pounds. Now, the next thing is, and just to continue along the math equation on that, is every gram of protein is going to equal 4 calories, right? So if we said 180 is where my ideal body weight is, so we're going to do 180 times 4 is 720 calories. So that means 720 of your calories are going to be coming from your protein source. And then now what we want to do is we want to split the rest of our calorie intake between our carbohydrates and our fats, right? So again, if our goal is 2,000 calories, so 2,000, and then we've got a spot. So I'm doing this literally as we're talking here. If you could see my screen, just to show you guys how easy this is, like just on a math equation. And if you stick around to the end of this episode, I've got a calculator for you. So you don't have to do the math live while I'm doing it. but I've got a calculator, right? It's going to estimate what your BMR is, going to estimate what your TDEE is. It's going to give you a specific target based off your goal and give you the right macros. But for argument's sake, for the example's sake, I'm going to build it out as we speak just to show you how easy it is. So we've got our carbs next and our fats next. So carbs, again, are going to be your fuel source. It is going to be your recovery source. They are not the enemy, I guarantee you. And fats is going to be 9 calories per gram. So we're getting 720 calories from our protein source, right? Because we want 1 gram per pound of ideal body weight. So 180 grams can equal 720 calories out of your 2000 target. And so we've got 1280 to play with, right? And so what I like to tell guys is we want to have about an even split between those to make up your 1280 calories. And so again, just doing math equation here, we can say, cool, let's just say, hey, I want to have 150 grams of carbs. That's going to equal 600 calories. And then let's say I want to have 75 grams of fat. That's going to equal 675 calories. And that is going to put me right at 1,995 calories, right? So right around that 2,000 calorie target. And the split on that is going to be 180 grams of protein, 150 carbs, and 75 grams of fat. And so that equals out to be 720 calories from your protein source, 600 calories from your carbohydrate source, and 675 calories from your fat source. Now, guys, you can get as scientific as you want to here, right? If you are trying to get down to a specific body weight, if you're trying to get ready for a bodybuilding show, like you can start to nail these down. But what I say is let's keep it simple, guys, right? Like the majority of us are not doing that. We just want to lose a little bit of body fat. We want to show up with more energy for our family. And so what we can do is have an even split between our carbs and our fats. And based off how your body reacts, based off how you feel, based off the weight that you're losing, is you can dial these up or down based off your specific needs. And so this is a fantastic split, right? Is, hey, I'm starting at 250. I want to get down to 180. I'm going to shoot for 2,000 calories throughout the day. That's going to be my target. I'm going to have 180 grams of protein. I'm going to have 150 grams of carbs. And I'm going to have 75 grams of fat. And that gets me right around 2,000 calories. And it's that simple, guys. And like I said, in the description of this episode, in the show notes, I've got a few resources for you. So one is going to be a calculator. No sign up, no anything, no opt-in, just going to give it to you for free. So head to the link. You guys can calculate what your TDEE is, your total daily energy expenditure, your basal metabolic rate, your BMR. You can answer a few questions about where you're at right now, what your goal is. And then that's going to give you a macronutrient split that is ideal for you. Now, how can we actually use these macros? So what I tell dads is you don't need to be perfect here. All right. So the Epic Dad 4-6-10 method, the 6 stands for 6 days of clean eating. So that ends up being around 80 to 85% compliance to your macros, right? And so what that really means is you don't have to be perfect. Let's shoot for the 80-20 rule, is try to be as close to your macros as possible every day. If you're a little bit over, you're a little bit under, like that's okay. Because the intent for this is not for you to sit down to dinner at night with your family and you eat boiled chicken and broccoli while your family has a nice dinner. That is not the intent. And so the intent is let's be strict around this where we have the opportunity to be strict. So for dads, most of the time, you can absolutely control what your breakfast is. You can control what your lunch is, and you can control your snacks throughout the day. Think about the typical day is I'm getting up, I'm getting ready for work. I'm going to maybe grab breakfast on the way out the door, or I eat breakfast at the office. Like that's just you eating by yourself. For lunch, right? You're at work, you're at the house. You're typically not sitting down to a meal with the family there, right? So you have direct control over what you put into your body at lunch. And then same thing goes true for the snacks throughout the day, is you have the opportunity to 100% control what goes into your mouth, right? For those snack periods. And then the intent is be as strict where we can be as strict. And then that opens up flexibility when we sit down at dinner with the family to have a nice meal, right? Is maybe we can shift a little bit of the portion control of the dinner that we're having. Maybe if we're sitting down to have a nice spaghetti dinner, which we do weekly in my house, is guess what? I sit down and I eat spaghetti. The only difference is I'm having spaghetti squash noodles and my family's having noodles, right? Because I want to make sure that I'm under my carb target. And so there are these small tweaks you can make throughout the day to be as strict as you can be when you can control it, and then to be as flexible as you can be for dinner, because we want to set the right example, right? That, hey, nutrition is important, but it's not all encompassing. It shouldn't be like the most important thing in your life, right? And you don't want to set that example for your kids where you're sitting down and you're eating an entirely different meal, or you're fasting and not having dinner. We want to make sure we're setting the right example for our kids. And this method of using macros to track where you need to be, in my opinion, what we found inside of our community is the most effective and efficient way to meet our goals as a busy dad. At the end of the day, you're not going to outwork a bad diet, right? The example I gave is you can go for a 45-minute jog and burn 250 calories, or you could just control what goes in your mouth and not eat that donut, right? And save yourself 250 calories. And the last thing I'll say on this, guys, is the way I like to approach it is like a budget. If I were to give you $20 for food for the day and you blow $10 for breakfast and you blow $6 for lunch, like, you're not going to have a very good dinner. And so that is why I say it's like a budget, and you can control and be strict where you can be strict, and then allow for some flexibility throughout the day. And if I want to sit down and I want to have a nice meal with my family, I'm going to have a nice meal with my family. If I want to have an ice cream after dinner and I know that we're going to go to an ice cream shop, it's cool. I'm going to be a little bit more strict for my breakfast, my lunch, and my snacks, knowing that I can go out to the ice cream shop and get an ice cream, sit down with my family. It's going to fit inside of my targets. And so be as strict as you can be where you control. Allow yourself that flexibility. Use those macro targets. We're not shooting for perfection here. We're shooting for the 80-20, the 80-20 rule. And I guarantee you that if you follow this method, if you are consistent, if you are disciplined with it, you are going to see results. It is just a math equation at the end of the day. And you cannot outwork a bad diet. We have to control our nutrition if we actually want to see results as a dad. So hopefully you guys got value from this method. Hopefully you see how easy this can be and how sustainable, repeatable it can be, and have learned the fundamentals that you can use for the rest of your life. That's the intent here. It is not to give you a quick fix or a 30-day crash diet that you're going to bounce back from, but to teach you the foundation and the fundamentals without getting too scientific, and something that you can use as a baseline for the rest of your life going forward, so you can hit any target that you want to. All right. Like I mentioned, go down in the description of this episode. You guys will see a link to a macro calculator right there. So you can go ahead and calculate your own macros for free. And then there's also going to be a link to what I call the emergency fast food kit. And so that is which happens pretty often, right? Is, hey, we had a softball game. We're going to head out to Chick-fil-A as a family. Like, crap, what am I going to do? So what I've done there is I've taken the top 25 fast food restaurants around the country, and I've given you the best, healthiest options, including their calorie breakout, including their macro breakout, so that you can just pull up that PDF. You can look at it. You can choose the best option for you in the moment. So I appreciate it, guys. You can't outwork a bad diet. So let's get after nutrition. Use the EpicDad 4-6-10 method, the macro method, and let's go crush it.
Thank you so much for listening to the show and supporting my mission to change the culture by creating more epic dads. If this message resonates with you and you're ready to become the husband, father, and man you're called to be, here's 2 quick things you can do to get started. Number 1 is to join the Epic Dad training app. Inside the Epic Dad app, you'll find workout programs, community, habits, accountability, courses, resources, and exclusive discounts on all Epic Dad supplements and gear. It has everything you need to start leveling up as a dad. Just hit the link in the show description and get your first 7 days free. And if you're ready to turbocharge your results and create massive change in your life, hit the link in the show description and apply to the Epic Dad Fit program. Our goal inside the FIT program is to radically change your life in just 90 days by helping you develop an unshakable foundation of discipline and habits, get you into the best shape of your life, and provide massive community and accountability to ensure you are successful. If you're ready to radically change your life as a father in just 90 days, hit the link in the show notes and apply today. Thanks for listening. Now go be epic.